flooding in Central Europe in 2013 that surged mainly through Germany and its surrounding countries was the largest global loss event of that year. These floods were very comparable to those which occurred about a decade earlier. In August 2002, a flood caused by over a week of continuous heavy rains ravaged Europe, killing dozens, dispossessing thousands, and causing damage in billions of euros in Russia, Czech Republic, Austria, Germany, Slovakia, Poland, Hungary, Romania, and Croatia. This particular flood was of a magnitude expected to occur roughly once a century, otherwise known as a 100-year flood. The weather patterns leading up to the flood in 2013 were very similar, but were limited to the areas within approximately 200 kilometers distance from the Elbe, Rhine, and Danube rivers. From May 28th to June 3rd, 3 low-pressure systems, Dominic, Frederick, and Gunther, brought extraordinary volumes of precipitation to an area centered over southeastern Germany. Though the heaviest rainfall occurred here, the runoff to the rivers caused extreme flooding all the way southeast towards the end of the Danube River. The floods in 2013 resulted in 25 deaths in the countries affected. Approximately 50,000 people along the Elbe and Danube rivers in Germany alone were forced to leave their homes. Flood stages were the highest ever since recordings began along hundreds of kilometers of rivers, but larger floods have occurred in the past. Total combined economic loss was estimated to be around 16.5 to 22 billion US dollars. Total insured losses were estimated to be around 3.3 to 5.3 billion US dollars. Germany itself suffered nearly 16 billion in total loss. The state of Bavaria, however, suffered some of the worst, in which roughly 110 million euros of damage or repairs to the water infrastructure alone, including the levees, flood walls, and pumping stations. The flood was successfully protected against in the area of Munich when tributaries carried much of the water downstream, where flooding became increasingly severe. The Isar flows directly through Munich, but any losses were avoided thanks to the flood protection present, which includes a dammed lake. Another story is that of the town of Fischerdorf, which also lies along the Isar. This town experienced a lack of awareness of the flood, partially due to the trust it placed in a levee along the Danube. This particular levee was built to withstand a 100-year flood, but there was a gap in protection along the Isar River. Due to this, Fischerdorf was overwhelmed and ultimately consumed. Assessing the future risk of flooding in these same areas is very relevant considering that there have been large Central European floods in 1997, 2002, and 2005, all before the 2013 floods. The risk is always there for these areas, which is why investment in all the best meteorological technology and equipment is necessary to assess the weather patterns that bring in such torrential rainfall. The most important things that can be done to encourage better protection from flooding, like in Munich, is to properly construct levees in the right place at the right time, and to go to all measures to provide the best flood walls and other infrastructure that the states can use to their benefit in the event of a next large flood event. The question in the case of Central Europe is not simply if there is risk, but what is the most effective way to mitigate the risk that will always be facing the region in the years to come.